Learning objectives. After completing this module, learners will be able to understand the importance of freedom for individuals and societies, explain the difference between the negative and positive dimensions of freedom, explain what is meant by the term harm principle. What is freedom? The definition of freedom: the absence of excessive restrictions and an opportunity to exercise one's rights and powers is defined as freedom. Many restrictions put on individuals and social society maintain social security and are made for peace. Therefore, we can say that all restrictions are not unreasonable. Natural freedom means freedom from natural means. The man before the origin of the state was enjoyed full freedom since birth. According to Rousseau, man is born free everywhere. He is tied up in bondage. Types of freedom. Freedom is divided into 4 types, namely: personal freedom. Personal freedom is defined as freedom in which an individual can freely express themselves and develop their creativity, potential, and capabilities. Political freedom. Political freedom is defined as the right to vote for choosing our representatives, the right to be elected to the legislature, and the right to join or form a party or parties. Economic freedom. Economic freedom is defined as the freedom from poverty and hunger, right to choose and practice any trade or business. Freedom of expression. The power or right to express one's opinions without censorship, restraint, or legal penalty is called freedom of expression. Example: Freedom from Fear book is written by Aung San Suu Kyi. On Liberty by John Stuart Mill wrote the book. Long Walk to Freedom, a book written by former South African President Nelson Mandela. Swaraj. Swar means self and Raj means rule. It is explained as rule over self and rule of self. By rule of self, we refer to freedom from British rule and attaining freedom for India. Rule over self means not just political freedom, but social, cultural, and economic freedom also. Economic freedom includes generation of employment and elimination of poverty. Social freedom means where individuals from various religion and caste are not suppressed or differentiated, and everybody is treated equally. Cultural freedom means where all cultures and religions are given equal respect, so that it helps in gaining respect and integrity for everybody. Bose shares the same view of freedom as Gandhi. He also showed his support for economic, social, and cultural equality. According to Bose, there should be freedom for men and women, freedom for people and society, freedom for all classes and all the citizens, freedom of rich and poor. Freedom does not only mean independence of India from British rule, but abolition of caste, equal distribution of wealth, elimination of communalism, and religious intolerance. Why do we need constraints? Social constraints are required on freedom so that it does not harm the society and every individual can enjoy their freedom equally. Freedom doesn't mean abusing persons, religion, and culture. Else, there will be violence and hatred in society. So it is important that everybody is respected, having difference of opinions, culture, ideas, and beliefs. Harm principle. John Stuart Mill stated that freedom can be inhibited only for your own protection, which means that if somebody's freedom harms the other person, then we can restrict the freedom of that person. For example, if an individual A tries to harm an individual B, then restriction should be put on freedom of individual A only. Actions are of two types, namely, self-regarding actions, other-regarding actions. Self-regarding actions are defined as the actions that shape outcomes only for the individual and nobody else. In other words, we can say that actions that affect him or her only are self-regarding actions. The state does not have the authority to intervene in these actions of the people. Whereas, the actions that harm the other person or affect him or her are called other regarding actions. For example, if the action of X harms an individual Y, then individual Y needs to protect himself or herself. According to J.S. Mill, freedom is an important part of human life. Therefore, restriction on freedom should be put only under special conditions. Laws should be involved only under situation of serious threat. Reasonable restrictions mean that the punishment should not be out of proportion or in excess. Otherwise, it would affect the general condition of freedom of society. Negative and positive liberty. Negative liberty. Negative liberty explains the idea freedom from, which means freedom from state, family, community, authority, etc. So negative liberty is the domain where none of the authorities can interfere and an individual is allowed to whatever she or he desires. For example, in the matters like what to read, what clothes to wear, what to eat, where to go for traveling, etc., the state has no right to interfere. Positive liberty. Positive liberty is defined as the liberty that explains the idea freedom to. It means freedom to play, read, write, learn, work, etc. are all provided to us by the state. It is the responsibility of the state to provide us with education. Then only we can read, learn and write. Positive liberty deals in the matters where state can intervene, and this interference here does not restrict freedom. It actually promotes freedom. For example, health, education, employment, etc. These provisions enhance and support the development and complete growth of personality. According to positive liberty, an individual can be free only in society, and therefore, the state creates a society in such a way that it promotes the freedom of people. However, positive liberty and negative liberty are interrelated. We require negative liberty for the expansion of our freedom and physical and mental development of our body. We need positive liberty so that we can expand our freedom by getting benefited by health facilities, education, and employment provided by state. Summary. Let us summarize what we have learnt. Freedom can be defined in two aspects, that is, absence of constraints and existence of conditions which expand freedom. Absence of external constraints means that an individual should not be forced to perform any actions which he or she does not want to perform. Constraints on freedom come from domination and external controls. External controls in the form of law imposed by government. John Stuart Mill says that there are two kinds of actions: self-regarding actions and other-regarding actions. Self-regarding actions are those actions which affect the individual only, and other-regarding actions are those actions which affect the society. A reasonable restriction means that restrictions need to be reasonable on law. There needs to be justifiable constraints. It should not be out of proportion and excessive to the action being restricted. Restrictions should be capable of being defended. Otherwise, it will lead to restrictions on the general freedom of individual. Liberalism has been identified with tolerance. It means the right of person to hold and express his or her opinion and beliefs should be defended. Modern liberalism focus on individual. They emphasize on individuals' choices and interests. Family, society, and community have no value. Modern liberals give priority to individual liberty rather than equality.